Good evening, guys. Good evening. Welcome to session, where are we? Session 5. Hopefully, Facebook will play ball tonight because yesterday, something absolutely catastrophic went wrong with it and no one could find the video. So hopefully that's not going to happen tonight, and hopefully the algorithm's going to work and everyone trying to find the video on the Facebook page can find the video. Okay. Welcome Robin, Jeanette, everyone joining. I'm just going to give Facebook just a little bit of time here to catch up because I don't want to dive into this while there's still dozens and dozens and dozens of people trying to find the video, which is what happened last night. And it caused all kinds of problems because people couldn't find the video, couldn't join me. I'm not sure what happened yesterday, but yeah, I've run hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands now of live sessions on Facebook. And what happened last night has never, ever happened before. So for everyone who was frustrated yesterday for not being able to find the video, I can only apologize profusely. And hopefully tonight, Facebook will play ball. Okay, welcome Sue, Helen, Pagan, Helen, Oric. I hope everyone is well. Before I dive in, everyone joining could just give me a flurry of emojis, thumbs up, smiley faces, just to try and bump this to the top of the feed in the Facebook group so that everyone who's trying to find it can find it, to try and prevent a repeat of what happened yesterday. Okay. Profuse apologies for yesterday. Tonight I've got Holly signing in. So Holly, I'm hoping that this is playing ball. I'm hoping there's not dozens of messages flagging up on the page saying I can't find the video. Right, so yesterday we spoke about, in yesterday's video, we spoke about the importance of the herb astragalus. Okay, those of you, we managed to retrieve that video. We thought we'd lost the video. We thought Facebook had just completely annihilated it. We managed to retrieve it and we've uploaded that to Facebook. And tomorrow in your email, you will get every video of this week will be uploaded to a YouTube playlist and it will be emailed to you tomorrow. Okay, so you can rewatch any of the videos, including yesterday's video, at leisure. Okay, so just very, very sincere apologies for what happened yesterday. Okay, so I'm assuming everyone can hear me. I'm assuming the signal's good, the sound's good. Yeah, like I said, everyone can just give me a flurry of emojis before I jump in to make sure that everyone can find this. Okay, so tonight we're talking about smudge sticks. Okay, an ancient but evidence-based practice for infection prevention that absolutely really shot to fame during the COVID years because of some compelling research to show how and why it's so effective at preventing infections. And also I want to talk about an alternative in essential oils if you can't use smudge sticks. Okay. Before I dive into that, I just want to briefly, for those of you who didn't get to watch yesterday's session, just want to briefly flag up how excited Holly and I are to announce that we've almost, we weren't going to release it, but we've opened the doors up to our cold and flu management masterclass. Okay, this is a 4-part Zoom delivered interactive course that's designed to empower you with everything you need to treat all kinds of winter infections. Okay, the reason we've had this course for years, so the reason we've released it is we've had over 120 requests on this Facebook page for my husband, my wife, my kids, my parents have got a cold. What do I do? And that's a really good question because this week has obviously been all about prevention. And that's right. Prevention is infinitely better than cure. But with the best will in the world, we all fall prey to infections. I get infections. Holly gets infections. And in the same way, this week has been focused on a clinically proven blueprint for preventing infections. The 4-part infection management masterclass is an equally proven blueprint for treating infections. So that when you come down with the first sign of a cold, a flu, bronchitis, sinusitis, doesn't matter what it is, you know exactly how to intervene to treat it. Okay. The 4-part series is based around the 4 clinical targets of managing infections. Okay, so when you're managing an infection, you have to do 4 things. You have to destroy the infection, destroy the virus or bacteria, you have to stimulate immunity, you have to alleviate symptoms, and you have to speed up recovery. They're the 4 clinical targets. And the 4-part course is all around that. So we'll look at things that the full syllabus is on the website, but we'll look at things like antiviral and antibacterial herbs, how to use them, how they work, how to dose them. We'll look at how to construct really effective herbal teas, not just your bog standard, but your really clinically proven herbal teas. We look at specific remedies for specific ailments. If you've got a sore throat, how do you manage that? If you've got bronchitis, how do you manage that? If you've got the flu, how do you manage that? So specific treatments for specific ailments. We've got medicinal meals. What should we eat when we've got an infection? How can we use food to target that infection fighting capacity? We've got a whole module devoted to children. So if you've got kids or grandkids, these are the frameworks that we use. When our kids get sick, we get clinically proven, safe, age-specific treatment protocols for managing infections in children. We've got information on how to stock a home apothecary with all the herbs and vitamins and minerals you need to effectively treat infections. We've got symptom management, we've got speeding up recovery, it's fully interactive. Essentially what I've tried to do is condense 15 years of research and clinical practice into a unique opportunity to learn the best practice, to learn the best practice for managing infections, and to package that into simple, easy to adopt, practical, easy. This is what we, if Holly or me or my parents or my kids come down with an infection, this is what we use. Okay. We want to make this course as accessible to everyone as we possibly can. So it's that we've released it at the cheapest price point we've ever released a course at. So you can access the full course, the whole course, the videos. They're recorded, they're live sessions, but they're recorded. If you can't make the sessions, you get lifetime access to those sessions. All the PDFs, all the recipes and remedies for only £49.99p. For £49.99p, but that comes with a massive bonus. And that bonus is that included within that price, you get full lifetime access to our most popular course ever, which is our online Confident Home Herbalist course. The Confident Home Herbalist course. That usually retails at £169. You get that completely free, included within the £49. The reason being that one consolidates the other. The Confident Home Herbalist gives you loads of video tutorials, masses, it's 10 modules. It's a whole platform devoted to helping people become confident and competent at using herbal medicines at home. Not just to treat infections, but to treat any common household problem, okay? It's the only resource you'll ever need to use herbal medicines. So you get that £169 course included in the £49.99, okay? The first session kicks off a week today, so it's next Thursday. It's going to be an amazing course. The motivation for running it is to make sure everyone genuinely has all the information they need to treat infections, because the idea of not knowing that, the idea of waking up with a cold or a flu or whatever it is, a respiratory infection, and not knowing how to treat that, just kind of stabbing in the dark with a Google search or just random bits here and there, it doesn't work. It needs to be systematic, it needs to be safe, and it needs to be evidence-based, and that's the focus of that course, okay? So doors are open now. You get everything for $49.99, all the syllabus, all the information's on the website. I know lots of you have joined up already because we actually opened it yesterday. So we've had loads and loads of people join up. So those of you who have joined up, I look forward to continuing the journey. But let's get on to more exciting things. Let's talk about smudge sticks, okay? So the burning of herbs, okay, in Ayurveda it's called Dumpana, and it's kind of one of the oldest clinical modalities within Ayurvedic medicine. It goes back thousands and thousands of years as a clinical intervention. Even further than that, in shamanism, in Africa, in Asia, in Siberia, burning herbs has been used for as long as we've been using herbs in any context. And like I say, in Ayurveda, it's called Dhamparna. It's been used for lots of different managing lots of different health issues, but particularly infection prevention. It was kind of a bit of an outlier. Ayurvedic herbal medicines and Ayurvedic dietary interventions are really common and well researched, but this very much flew under the radar. And I'd love to know, actually, anyone here listening, has anyone here got or has used or is using smudge sticks out of interest? So they were kind of flew under the radar. They didn't fall into the same kind of evidence framework that the rest of Ayurveda does and is. It was very much an outlier. And then COVID was 95% bad. But on the other side of the coin, lots of good things came out of Ayurveda in terms of more research around herbal medicines and more awareness of natural medicines. There was a fascinating study, and what that showed was that in hospitals in India, that whether they were Ayurvedic hospitals, conventional hospitals, or a combination of, which is quite common, the hospitals or the wards that were using Dhamparna, that were using herbal smoke in the COVID wards and in the hospitals, had a significantly lower rate of mortality. They had a significantly reduced symptom profile. People left hospital earlier. There was a lower rate of ventilation, and there was lower rates of subsequent infection spread. Between very clear data between those using herbal smoke and those not using herbal smoke. And then the researchers said, well, what's going on here? Why are we seeing all these hospitals using herbal smoke having much better COVID outcomes compared to the same hospitals using the same treatments who aren't using herbal smoke getting much worse outcomes? So researchers began to explore it. They began to explore why, what could be going on here? What could be responsible? And they looked at a variety of herbs. They looked at neem. Neem is a really important herb in Ayurveda. They looked at sage. They looked at thyme. They looked at rosemary. They looked at lots of different herbs. And they firstly showed what we know about the internal consumption of those. We know sage, for example, is a very powerful antiviral. We know it's a very powerful antibacterial. We know it's an immune stimulant. We know it's a respiratory tonic. Likewise for sage, likewise for lavender, likewise for rosemary. Lots of herbs, But what they wanted to understand was, well, how, if we're not drinking it in tea or taking it internally as medicine, how can this herbal smoke be so effective at preventing infections? So they set up some clinical studies, they set up clinical tests where they had sterilized rooms, sealed rooms in controlled environments, and in each different room, they put different strains of viruses and different strains of bacteria on special measurement devices. And in one room, they had the same virus with the same percentage of active virus in the same size room, not using herbal smoke, and an exact replica, same virus, same volume, same room, using herbal smoke. And after, I think it was 25 minutes of burning, we're not talking about fumigation here, we're just talking about gentle smoke release, almost like incense burning, 94% of the entire volume of bacteria and viruses in that room was destroyed. 94%. That outperforms steam cleaning, that outperforms bleach, that outperforms mist spray. 94% of the infection-causing microbes were removed using simple, pure, unadulterated herbal smoke. And they said, well, that explains why the hospitals using herbal smoke had much better outcomes during COVID, because this herbal smoke is effective at destroying viruses and bacteria. But then why? What's going on? And what they showed was that lots of the phytochemicals, the plant-based chemicals in these herbs that possess antiviral, antibacterial action are maintained in smoke form. But here comes the crux. And the crux is that smoke obviously has a very high diffusion rate. Very high diffusion rate, because it's airborne and it's susceptible to shifting air patterns and drafts and things like that. In a very small period, in a very quick period of time, in a very short period of time, if you're just gently burning a smudge stick, The ability of the herbal compounds in that smoke to infiltrate every nook and cranny in the room is probably more effective than anything else. And that's what they showed. That's why it's so effective. And the reason I wanted to talk about it in this week is it gives us two external approaches and two internal approaches for preventing infections. Okay, and this is what I spoke about. Remember, right back on Sunday, I spoke about this idea that if you were building a house, you wanted to build a really strong house. You could build the strongest walls and the strongest roof. If it's on weak foundations, it's not going to hold up. It doesn't matter how strong the walls are, how strong the roof is. If the foundations are weak, it's not going to hold up. It's the same with our immune system. If we're randomly taking herbs or vitamins or supplements or using smudge sticks and we're not getting to the core, it's not good enough. We want robust immunity built from the inside, and that's supported from the outside. And the reason I wanted to include these 4 variables is because by every variable we've looked at is clinically proven to prevent infections. But if you start integrating 2 of them, 3 of them, or all 4 of them into one blueprint, your ability to prevent infections is profound. And it's a nice mix because we've got 2 external treatments and 2 internal treatments. And by that, I mean that by supporting gut immunity. Remember back on, I think it was Monday, we spoke about OJAS. By building immunity in our body via our gut, our microbiome, and our digestive system, we're building immunity from the inside. Through using astragalus that we spoke about yesterday, you're stimulating immunity from the inside. So you've got 2 practices that are clinically proven to build robust immunity inside the body. But then you've got 2 practices working from outside of the body. You've got the Nasha therapy in your nostrils, stopping the infection getting in. And then the regular, you don't need to do it all day, you don't need to do it every day, but the regular use of smudge sticks helps to reduce the volume of viruses and bacteria in the areas of your house that you live in most often. And by combining those 4 treatments, astragalus, gut immunity, Nasha therapy, and herbal smoke, you create a framework that is so compellingly and evidentially effective at preventing infections, it can transform our health over winter. Okay, so how do we tap into that? It doesn't, the key thing about smudge sticks is that the benefit lasts for over in some cases, 36 hours. So if you burn a smudge stick in a room that you're in your kitchen, you're in your living room, you're in your study, you're in your office, whatever, if you burn that for 20 minutes, that antimicrobial, antiviral impact that destroys 94% of pathogens is going to last for the best part of 2 days. So we don't need to be burning them all the time. We don't need loads of smoke. It just needs to be a very simple, very effortless, periodic self-care practice. Okay, and I use it primarily now in our kind of kitchen. We've got a kitchen dining area, and which has also got a sofa in as like a second living room, and we spend a lot of time in there as a family. So I burn smudge sticks kind of every second day in there, just for about half an hour before the kids get home, and I use it every day, well most days in my study. Okay, and that means that in my office, where I work, and that means that I'm not exposing my respiratory tract. I'm not exposing the door handles, what I touch with my fingers. If there are viruses, if the kids come back from school with viruses and bacteria and they're coughing, the chances of me getting that are much lower because they're not allowed to survive in the environment. And it's super easy. Okay, so there's a couple of ways of using smudge sticks. The easiest is just to buy them. So we buy our smudge sticks from Star Child. Some of you may have heard of Star Child. They're a famous herbal apothecary in Glastonbury, and they've got an immense collection of all things herbal. Okay, and this is just a sage and neem smudge stick. Okay, you can see it's usually about that long. That one's kind of half burnt, and all you need to do is you don't need to set it on light like a bonfire. You don't need copious amounts of smoke. If it makes you cough, if it irritates your eyes, it's too much. You're using too much of it. You should be able to smell it, but other than that, you shouldn't know it's there. Okay, so you just need to literally light it like that, just for a couple of seconds, blow it, and then you should be able to see a couple of embers, and that's it. Leave that on a plate or a dish, and just let it will, as the minutes go by, the smoke volume gets less and less because it begins to ember out. And after about half an hour, you've got this beautifully scented room. It doesn't create a mist. It doesn't fill the room up with smoke. It doesn't irritate your eyes. It doesn't irritate your lungs. It's just gently cleansing the room of any kind of infection. And you can see all the smoke there. And if it goes out, you can begin to blow on it and just get a bit more. Or conversely, you can just dab out the embers and kind of put it out. Okay, so, and the thing about those, they're about, I think that one was about £5, and I've had this one for, well, since the kids went back to school, so September, and it's taken that long, so September, October, almost 3 months to shorten by about that much. So 3 of those will probably last you a winter. So for £12-15, it's I think some of the best money you can spend in the context of preventing infections. They've got loads of different varieties of different herbs and things like that. I like the sage is the most famous one, and for good reason, because it's the most effective one. Okay, but you can get other herbs, but you don't need to buy them either. Okay, because most people have got, if you've got a rosemary bush in your garden, or you've got, particularly rose and sage, because they're perennial. Even in winter, they're still there. They're nice and healthy. If you go out and pick, a couple of handfuls of rosemary, leave them quite long stemmed, or sage, leave them quite long stemmed. Just tie some string around them, leave them in an airing cupboard or somewhere warm and dry for 7-10 days, and then all the moisture will dry out. And then just get some cotton, wrap the cotton round, and then you've got your own smudge stick. We've got a really big, really established rosemary bush in our garden, and we've made smudge sticks from that since we moved into this house 13 years ago or whatever it is. And all of these herbs are great. Rosemary, thyme, sage, lavender, lemon balm. They're all antiviral. They're all antibacterial. They all burn really well because they've all got resins in them. And it's the resins and the oils that give it the properties. So when we burn those oils, it's that escapes into the environment. It's that cleanses the environment. Okay. But there are a couple of things to be aware of, that there are some contraindications for people who shouldn't be using smudge sticks. So if you've got asthma and you're really sensitive to smoke and airborne kind of activity, if you're really sensitive, if you've got lots of allergic reactions, if you've got kind of a really dry cough, if you've got a wet cough, a wet sticky cough, smudge sticks are brilliant. But if you've got a really dry, painful kind of sandpapery cough, I'd stay away from smudge sticks. Okay, so if you've got asthma, if you've got sensitive lungs, if you've got dry coughs, stay away from smudge sticks. And that's why essential oils are really important, because when you're using essential oils, what you're essentially doing is releasing into the environment in vapor form what the same compounds that are released into the environment through smoke form. So if you burn sage, if you use sage essential oil in a mist diffuser, so it's just some of you may have them, some of you may not. It's just a little pot that you fill up with about 100 mils of water. You put about 10-15 drops of essential oil in. The water heats up. It creates a kind of a steam, and that steam disperses the healing compounds in the herb into the environment. They disperse around the whole room. You breathe them in, and it has the same impact as the sage, as the burning. Okay, it diffuses really well. And there are lots of herbs that you can use in that capacity. You can use sage, you can use rosemary, you can use lavender. There's one essential oil that's particularly important, okay? And it's again one of the positives that came out of COVID, okay? Because there's a herb and an essential oil called bay laurel. Bay laurel. And bay laurel contains 3 chemicals, natural chemicals, that are potently antiviral. Okay, and I'm not talking a little bit antiviral, I'm talking off the scale antiviral. And again, in COVID, bay laurel was one of the most powerfully proven natural compounds that was shown to suppress the docking of COVID onto human cells. And we had bay laurel every single day diffusing in our house during COVID. Okay, but it's not just active against SARS viruses like COVID, it's active against almost all rhinoviruses. So we think about seasonal colds and infections, most sore throats, all colds, all flus, they're all viruses. Yes, you can get bacterial tonsillitis, and you can get bacterial bronchitis, and you can get bacterial sinusitis. But your standard winter cold is a rhinovirus. It's a virus. It's not a bacteria. So things like sage, things like astragalus, things like Nasha oil are particularly, they're more heavily antiviral, and bay laurel is absolutely profound in its capacity to suppress and destroy viral activity in the rooms. So if if you've got kids coming home from school, or you're working in London or on trains and tubes and you're coming back home, just put some bay laurel into a mist diffuser and let it saturate your environment. Okay, and it can have, the evidence is there. The evidence is there around the impact it has upon, destroying viral growth, and through destroying viral growth, preventing or reducing infection prevalence. So those 4 things for me are crucial. All of them are important. Okay, building gut immunity, using astragalus, using Nasha, and using either herbal smoke or herbal steam. Each one is safe. Each one is clinically proven. Each one is mechanistically valid. But like I said, if you start building them up and combining 2 of them or 3 of them or all 4 of them into your, not daily necessarily, but weekly practices, it cannot help but transform your health through the winter and your risks and prevalences of infections. Okay, so all of them work together. Okay, so I would, really make sure that you've got access to these. Get your astragalus, use your Nasha, focus on the OJAS boosting approaches I spoke about on Monday. Explore the use of these because they really, really work. Okay, so that kind of concludes the last kind of scheduled session of the Ayurvedic Winter Pharmacy, but we do have some extra bonus material. The most important one is this coming Wednesday, and we'll release more information, but it's about, it's gonna shift focus onto actual infection management, because I know this week's been about prevention. We've obviously got the 4-week course that starts next Thursday, which is the infection management masterclass. That's the 4-week course that starts next week. But I want to make sure everyone's got some information around what you can do to manage infections, looking at some antiviral herbs, etc., etc. So there'll be a whole masterclass on that next week. We've got some bonus recipes and remedies to release. So there's lots more to come, but there's no live session tomorrow. Okay, so we have a bit of a rest now, and we have some bonus sessions next week, some content to release on the weekend. Okay, but those of you who've joined us a little bit late, or everyone here actually, do check out the 4-week infection management masterclass. Okay, all the information on the website. It's only $49.99. I want as many people as I can to benefit from this. I want as many people to have all the information they need to know how to manage infections. When my son, my daughter, my husband, my wife, my parents, my brother, if they get an infection, I want everyone here to be the port of call. You know how to treat it. You know what herbs to use, in what way, in what dose, what teas, what supplements, what foods. This is the best practice, and it's so important everyone knows how to use it. So if you'd like to join me in that, we start next Thursday. You get full access to the course and full free access to the online Confident Home Herbalist course, everything for just $49.99. So it's on the website now. Any questions about smudge sticks or how it relates to you, let me know. The questions on here aren't coming up, but any questions that have flagged up during the live that I've missed, I will answer retrospectively. But other than that, have a lovely evening. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Cheers, guys.